this happen.
The assignments have been set. The battles are about to take place. It's Operation Green Flag, Mission Flamboro Speedway, right here on GForceTV. Welcome once again, race fans, to Operation Green Flag. Last week, we knocked off the rust after the longest off-season ever with some exciting dirt track racing at New Humberstone Speedway. Today, we're back at it. Unfortunately, we still can't have fans in the grandstands, but we're going to bring you all the sights and sounds of short track racing from Southern Ontario right into your home. This week, we're at an asphalt oval just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. Two divisions once again in the same lockdown format. I'm Greg Kellman. With me today, Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey, as we cover all the Operation Green Flag events. But first, let's check in with Speedway announcer Gary Calling to set up today's mission.
Thanks, guys. Flamboro Speedway, just 15 minutes from downtown Hamilton. Today, John and Frank Caselli, the owners of Flamboro Speedway, are hosting the Pro Late Models, 21 cars with us here today, and also the great Canadian Vintage Modifieds, a fan favorite here at Flamboro Speedway, sponsored by Young Drivers of Canada. Go grab yourself something to drink, get yourself something to eat, and buckle up, because we're going racing.
Thanks, Gary. The Caselli family has owned Flamboro Speedway for over 50 years now, and they've done a great job preparing this facility for today's event. One guy that has a lot of history at this track is Adam Ross. He started his career in motorsports right here at Flamboro. Adam, what's your take on Flamboro Speedway?
Thanks, Greg. 25 years ago, John and Frank Caselli gave a kid from Burlington a chance to work in the motorsports industry. I started by writing stories here at the racetrack. For the couple of years I did get behind the wheel, it was with the Canadian Vintage Modifieds we're going to see today. I've been excited for this show all week long. Can't wait to get things on the racetrack. We're going to give you some fantastic looks around this place, folks. Roaming the pits, as always, Clinton Jeffrey is going to be on the scene of all the excitement. Let's go to Clinton now to talk about one of the exciting pieces of the format for today's race.
Thanks, guys. I'm here in the lockdown chute. For both races today, the teams are going to have to make a decision at the halfway break. Do they come in and lock down and keep their position, or do they go back to their pit stall and work, at which point they will file in behind the cars that did lock down? A lot of strategy is going to come into play in both divisions today. We'll have to watch how that plays out, guys.
There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Chicken Wings. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave.
What I love about racing is that it's so unique. And when you go back to school, everyone just thinks it's really cool because they haven't really heard of it before. Also, I love that you get to spend time with lots of friends. I've made lots of friends here at the track that I know I'll be friends with for a very long time.
What I like about go-karting is racing, the aggressiveness, and spending time with my family.
I love go-karting because you meet a lot of friends and you get to go fast.
Welcome to Flamboro Speedway, Operation Green Flag. We are ready for round number 2. Last week it was Humberstone Speedway. This afternoon, the Blacktop here, just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. Greg Kellman here in the announce tower along with Adam Ross. And Adam, the cars are rumbling to life and heading out onto the track. The moment we've waited for is finally here.
You're absolutely right, Greg. It is so good to be at the racetrack today and present this show, Late Models at Flamboro Speedway. And they come out in the order that they time trialed in. Shea Gemmel in that 3 was the fastest car in time trials, but track owner Frank Casale redrew the invert. We are going to invert the top 6 positions, which is a huge bonus to young Trayton Lapcevich and DJ Kennington. As we're about to give you the starting lineup, you're going to find out why those drivers will be thrilled with the turn of events.
There are some real hot shoes in the field this afternoon. All sorts of big names from all across Ontario ready here to go. Lock stock for their first 40 laps of the afternoon. Then we'll go into the lockdown, shutdown we'll call it, where they will go into the pit area and decide whether they're going to work on their cars or keep their position. And we saw that last week. There weren't a lot of takers. I think it might be a different story here this afternoon.
These drivers want to win, and it sounds obvious, but it's not. If at the end of the 30 laps you know you don't have a winning car and you're J.R. Fitzpatrick or Nick Sheridan or Trayton Lapcevich, they're here for one reason, to hit victory lane. That might give them incentive to duck into the pits and make some adjustments.
It's going to be a tight field this afternoon to make up track position, as qualifying tight as always amongst these Pro Late Model drivers. And this is a track where you will maybe have to use the chrome horn a little bit to make your pass on the track, but you can also get it done in a few other areas if you bide your time and have a little bit of patience.
There's a term in stock car racing, short track racing, for the type of racetrack we're at today, and that is a bull ring. This is one for sure. Let's have a look at our American Racer race analysis. They had group time trials this afternoon. Shea Gemmel was the fastest. The inversion they've chosen, number 6. So that's going to put our 6th place qualifier on the pole for today's event. 60 laps is the distance in this one, and lockdown rules are in effect, Greg. Like you said, if you go to your pit during that break at halfway, you forfeit your starting spot.
It's already a practice session earlier today, and then group time trials to set the starting order. As you mentioned, they invert the top 6. That was the redraw that took place earlier on, and we'll see that take place here in a moment as they begin to pace around this speedway. Glad you could join us here. A bright sunny day at Flamboro Speedway just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. Full field of cars for both the Pro Late Models and the Vintage Modifieds. To 30-lap segments. I'll get that corrected. To 30-lap segments for the Pro Late Models, to 20-lap segments for the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. And you see a fine field of Pro Late Models. We're going to see the same from the Vintage Modifieds, Adam.
They look beautiful right now, so if you've got a favorite, take a screenshot, because they may not look like this for long. Let's talk about the areas on the racetrack that are going to be exciting today. As we said, Flamboro Speedway is a bit of a bull ring. Turn 2, for whatever reason, this is not a symmetrical racetrack. Turn 2 gives the drivers an opportunity to find a groove coming off and make a move, but right at the exit of the corner where you're really trying to get on the throttle, the track kind of falls away from these drivers, so they give up a little bit of grip. There's a reason why there's so many rubber marks on the exit of turn 2 from cars spinning out, Greg.
Passing's at a premium here, and you have to bide your time, but when you see the opportunity present itself, then you have to take it, and we're going to see that today. And I think corner 1's going to be an interesting spot, because oftentimes that's where we see patients get lost, is entering that corner number 1. It happens in corner 3 as well, but in my history here at this racetrack, a lot of the excitement is going to be right in front of where we're stationed here this afternoon.
A successful pass at this racetrack usually takes a lap or more. You know, you set up a move coming off the corner to get a run, then you've got to cement your position going into the next corner, whether you're inside or outside, and then it's a matter of outwheeling your opponent and clearing that driver. All of these late model teams have spotters in various parts of the grandstand. The nice thing about Flamboro Speedway, social distancing has not been a challenge here, and as you can see around the racetrack, 6 feet between people who are watching from various spots, parts of these race teams, and you're going to see them run in a hurry should there be any troubles on these cars that they have to make a pit stop.
Yeah, limited number of crew members per team, and of course the spotters, number of them here on the front stretch grandstands, and that is it. The rest of the shot is all empty grandstands. We can't wait to have the fans back in attendance at the local short tracks. But for now, we're happy to bring this live coverage from here at Flamboro Speedway. Of course, a number of events still scheduled on our Operation Green Flag schedule next week down to the Merrittville Speedway at 7 o'clock, live again here on GForceTV.net. Then we'll be back here in 2 weeks' time for a 4 p.m. start. Super Stocks, Mini Stocks, and Pure Stocks on the card here at Flamboro Speedway. Then we will return right back down to the Merrittville Speedway in 3 weeks' time on July the 11th, where we'll see 360 sprint cars along with small block modifieds and the Thunder Stocks, which we saw last week at Humberstone. So some action-packed weeks of racing. Sure, you can't get out to the track, but we're bringing it to you live and for free, and we're glad to have you on board. Make sure you're sharing this up throughout the afternoon on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to GForceTV.net by hitting that subscribe button at the top of the page.
And it looks like the invert has been made. The field has taken shape. Let's introduce the starting lineup for today's 60-lap late model event, presented by Grisdale Racing Products, McCall Racing Enterprises, and London Recreational Racing. On the pole in the number 32 out of Grimsby, the RenaMotoGroup.com Ace Services number 32 is Trayton Lapsevich. On the outside of row number 1 from the Daytona 500 to Flamboro Speedway, he's from St. Thomas, drives the Castrol Edge, number 28, DJ Kennington. Row 2 from Mount Bridges, the Pride Seeds, Vibrant Farms, number 52 is Jake Sheridan. Alongside him, from Stainer, the Barry Frame and Alignment, number 9 is Brandon Watson. J.R. Fitzpatrick drives the 84 from Cambridge, the Cambridge Rigging sponsored entry, and our fast qualifier from Dorchester, the North Country Property Maintenance. ABC number 3 is Shay Gemmel. Row 4, from Drumbo, it's Sean Chenoweth in the 89 seed London Recreational Racing Machine. Outside of him, Josh Stoddy from Chesley in the Schaefer Oil Canada number 17. We are underway. We'll get you the rest of this list of drivers as the day goes on. Door-to-door racing between Kennington and Lapsevich for the lead.
Kennington works the outside line, slips ahead and grabs the top spot. Trayton Lapsevich tucks in line, slips up in front of Brandon Watson coming down the front stretch.
Down through 1 and 2, a bit of a surprise to me. DJ Kennington out in front, an aggressive start over Trayton Lapsevich. Lapsevich, of course, lots of success in these late model cars over the last couple of years.
Kennington and Lapsevich 1 and 2. Then it's side by side, Jake Sheridan and Brandon Watson. Sheridan will get the advantage there. That opens the door for J.R. Fitzpatrick to slide down now to the inside of Watson. He's got Shay Gemmel tied to his back bumper as well.
One of the keys here at Flamboro Speedway is going to be finding your spot in line. Right now, Brandon Watson in that number 9 is up in the outside groove. There's no rubber up there. It is tough sledding. And really, these drivers are being super aggressive to try to keep Brandon Watson from getting in line. But as we say that, he slides in just in front of Josh Stoddy.
So that'll slip him into the 6th spot. You've got DJ Kennington out in front of Trayton Lapsevich, and then it's Jake Sheridan, J.R. Fitzpatrick, Shay Gemmel, your top 5. Brandon Watson running 6th, then it's Josh Stoddy, Sean Chenoweth, Jade Franklin, and Chad Corcoran. Right now, they're in the top 10.
Behind the wheel of the number 31, let's give you the rest of cast of characters for this one. From Coldwater, the Caldecott Millwright Services 31 is Jade Franklin. In the all-black car with a bit of a number 50 on it, out of Milton, that's Chad Corcoran. The 03 is from Milton. The Racing Stuff sponsored entry is Jake Gilbert. The Waistcoat Savaris Professional Services Flamboro Doors number 27 is Kevin Albers. From Sarnia, the Aquid Auto Parts Technical Heat Treatment Canada Steel number 13 is Jaden Chapman. From Guelph is the 97D Retail Design Group Maker Pizza MRC Wireless Machine of Ty DiVincenzo. The 91 comes from Rockwood. The Grisdale Racing Products 91 is Mike Westwood. The orange number 94 is we are under yellow for Brett Rodwell's number 87, disabled on the inside of number 4. The 94 machine is the Neely Auto Service Striker Chassis Action Optical number 94, Brian Fraser. From Owen Sound, it's the 69 of Wally Wilson. Driving the number 1 of our sponsors of this broadcast, sponsoring the Speed Shot, the Blast Floor Coating number 1 of Sean McGlynn out of Waterloo. Out of Milton, the Maple City Tire Transport Trailer Sales number 27 is Matt Box. Started 20th from Cambridge, the JP Powder Coating Proactive Training Cambridge. Licebusters number 97 is Blair Wickett. And the driver who rounded out the field, who brought out this first yellow flag from Mount Pleasant, the budget bin, Hunter Transport number 87 of Brett Rodwell. A little bit of a tactical error on my part, Greg, waiting for the field to be doubled up before I did the lineup. There's just not that much time at a small track like this to get everything in that we want to get in.
8 laps recorded on the board. DJ Kennington set as the leader. 22 laps remaining here in this first segment of 60 in total this afternoon. Lap times 15.395 is the best so far for DJ Kennington. Just give you an idea how quickly they're getting around this Flamboro Speedway. Field taking shape behind the Bennett's GMC Pace truck. And I believe this time we'll come to the white flag. We'll get back to green flag racing here momentarily.
Now, DJ Kennington started on the outside of the front row and took advantage of being able to really charge into turn one and force the position of Trayton Lasserich, not allow him to get onto the throttle quickly enough. Oddly enough, now DJ Kennington is elected to restart from the inside. You can see white lines there in turn number 4. Those are the restart points. And it'll be DJ Kennington on the inside in the black number 28. Trayton Lapsevich up high in the 32.
We'll see what Trayton learned from that original start of this race. If he can gain the advantage on DJ. They're wheel to wheel down in corner number 1. Work it off the second corner. Good run for DJ. He'll hold the spot for the moment, but Trayton on the outside.
He's in trouble. Shea Gemmel and J.R. Fitzpatrick, a couple of drivers with history, they make contact and take out the 9 of Brandon Watson. Shea Gemmel's car is done. The rear end is out of the number 3 of Shea Gemmel.
He is dog tracking something fierce up here in corners 1 and 2. There we see Brandon Watson. Wow, look at the right side damage on car number 9, and J.R. Fitzpatrick pinned up against him. Now, I'm not sure how bad the damage is on the 84, as he went for a bit of a spin and then lightly tagged the side of Brandon Watson.
This is the fun part of the program where we spot Clinton Jeffrey on the golf cart. He is headed to the scene. We can always count on Clinton to get right into the heart of the action. And folks, if you're not accustomed to a GForceTV presentation, we try to get you as close to the action as we possibly can. And Clinton's going to head over there to see these drivers. Let's have a look at the replay, Craig. Going into the turn, I want to see if Gemmel might have broke on his way into turn 3. Let's have a look, Spencer. Something weird. Why did the 3 car jerk to the right
to
like that?
Let's watch it again here. Yeah. Wow.
Sheridan almost got a big piece of that. These drivers have done a pretty good job to again, this is the first race of the year. Oh, man, look at the views we have.
Okay, now I'd like to see that again. Did JR come down to the nose of the 3 to start that? We could see that maybe one more time. There's Clinton Jeffrey down trackside. We'll catch up with him. Heavy damage to the right side. Clinton?
Problems also for the Fitzpatrick machine. Towing crew are going to have some work. Watson is done here today, guys.
That damage is far more significant than I thought it would be.
Yep.
Looks like Brandon Watson's day is going to be done, and I'm trying not to talk over Clinton because we couldn't see that he had started talking there.
Okay, here's the shot. Watch. He hits, comes down into the 3 of Gemmel.
I'm going to throw out a really weird. So J.R. Fitzpatrick, from what we can see there, came across the nose of the 3 of Shea Gemmel. But I also wonder if Shea Gemmel's rear end broke at the same time. I still don't understand what sent Shea Gemmel's car to the right as hard as it did, unless he was trying to keep the 84 turning and clear him.
Yeah, just a weird reaction from the 3 car. Not what you would expect that car to do in that situation, and some good looks there from our camera crew here this afternoon.
Spencer, we're going to need some help from you with communication here to know when Clinton is ready to give us some reports. Looking at Kevin Albert's car right now, the 27, and Clinton is on the scene. Go for it, Clinton.
You mentioned all kinds of issues. You're right. The Watson car is definitely done for the day. They've got this whole right side cleaned off. And Sean, if you can come right in here and get a good look, guys, they've tore all this front suspension up. It is a mess in here. No way this car is going to come back. The other question we have is the Fitzpatrick car to see if he can go. They're telling we had no steering on the Watson car or possibly the Fitzpatrick. We'll get to the bottom of it, guys. But back to you, coming from turn 2 here in just a moment. Actually, we're in turn 3, I should say. It is a wild one out here. The first bad accident here at Flamboro this season.
Well, the big happy birthday sign on J.R. Fitzpatrick's hood, which is, of course, for his lovely wife. Play.
Jake Sheridan took a bit of a hit there. I didn't realize on the left rear as well, so there might be some concern on that.
That was significant. Spencer, you're going to get tired of us saying that. Can we see that exact replay again when you get a chance after this one? So we'll have to watch for Sheridan's car to see if he's got any damage to the left rear of that one as they continue to work down in the corner. Let's again thank some of the people. Greg, these are strange times this year, so it's been wonderful to be able to work with promoters. John and Frank Casale here, Dave Bittner at Humberstone, Don Speece at Merrittville Speedway, and get a lot of help to put on these races. This particular event, Grisdale Racing Products, McCall Racing Enterprises, London Recreational Racing, Waterloo Regional Kart Club. Sean McGlynn's business has gotten involved. And I don't know why it doesn't roll off my tongue, but Blast Floor Coating. I always have to look at it to make sure I've got it right. A lot of sponsors stepped up because we want to bring you racing. The racers want to race. The fans want to see it.
We're going to see if we can get a look at the left rear of Jake Sheridan. He's parked down in corner 2, close to us, so I've asked our cameraman Greg Boydell if he could zoom in on that shot, and we'll see if we can bring that up and just take a look because it was a fairly significant hit. And there it is, so if we could just have a little zoom out a bit more there, we could see some of the damage. There it is there. So some contact on the 52. Whether or not that's going to be a tire rub or not, it's hard to say, but the big concern, I guess, would be whether there's any rear end damage from that contact when it hit the left rear side. And here comes J.R. Fitzpatrick out of the pile.
Yeah, I was wondering why they had the hood off and wanted to pull him back. Because they have the brake at the midway point, as long as he can keep that car rolling and nurse it around, he would have to pit for repairs, but J.R. Fitzpatrick always has a chance to get it done as we look at the 84 Cambridge rigging machine come by our location. Right front still pointed mostly in the right direction. Now Mike Schmidt from London Recreational Racing is close enough to us that he came over. He says, yeah, we saw a bit of smoke. We think the 3 broke at the start of that. And that's possible. So, we try to call it from what we see, but there's always more than meets the eye, Greg.
Needless to say, some very big names involved in this first major calamity of the afternoon, and that will shake things up.
Well, I would say the 3 odds-on favorites to win this race were involved in that. Clinton Jeffrey is on the scene. Take it away, Clint.
we see Brandon Watson getting the tow, and you can see the heavy damage to the right side of car number 9. You wait all off-season long, and that happens on lap 8.
Yeah, tough start there for Brandon Watson. Someone else's incident. As we said on the original start, everyone wants to get to single file. So on these restarts, you want to be aggressive. You want to try to gain something instead of lose a spot, but you also need to get single file. So in order of importance, Greg, get in line, gain a spot. At the very least, try not to lose spots, but get in line is number one.
Field put back under the caution flag. Looks like Wally Wilson getting a bit of a push here, while Ray's tows Brandon Watson's number 9 to the pit area.
These concrete walls are vicious. There is not much give. They were beautifully painted to open this event. John and Frank Casale just doing a great job with their team. Gary Calling, Doug Leonard, all sorts of people that get involved to help out. But the facility looks top-notch.
That it does, and unfortunately, the drivers have ruined these freshly painted walls. A nice big black stripe up there in corner number 3 from that collision. But the Casale family do it right. And kudos to them for putting on an event like this, because this is a tough way to do it without fans in the grandstands and with having a limited capacity in the pit area.
Yeah, and the race teams have been doing a great job. Everyone's been following the rules that are laid out. Well, we look through the field. Looks like everybody made it through unscathed. Quite often when you have these mix-ups, especially at the front of the field, the reverberation through the field, there's often a lot of contact, a lot of mix-ups. We got one car coming back onto the racetrack. I believe that's Wally Wilson in the 69. A little bit of smoke out the header of that 69 machine. Another driver we got to keep an eye on throughout the day is that 89C, Sean Chenoweth, a KG veteran, sponsored by London Recreational Racing, of course. And normally, half of the grandstands are filled with Sean Chenoweth fans. He brings a lot of moral support to the track with him today, a little bit different, but I'm sure they're watching the stream and cheering from home. And look who's coming back onto the racetrack as the white flag flies, J.R. Fitzpatrick.
He'll tag on to the tail of the field as the lights are off on the Bennett GMC pace truck. DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapsovich will try it for a third time here, coming to the green flag. DJ on the inside, Trayton to the outside, and we'll see the green off of corner 4 here at Flamboro Speedway. Glad you could join us.
Oh, nice run off of turn number 2 for Trayton Lapsovich. Kennington squeezing him as far as he could to the wall, but Lapsovich still on the loud pedal. He'll try to clear and lead the way. Lapsovich does lead that lap, but Kennington still with a fender to the inside.
Lapsovich working the outside line, still has the advantage halfway down the backstretch. They go into corner 3. DJ digging on the bottom, Trayton up top as they come across the stripe. Looks like Lapsovich will lead another time. Jake Sheridan looked low, thought about 3 maybe for a second, but backs off and thinks better of it.
Kennington might be using up some of his favors here. He really squeezing Lapsovich up towards the wall. There was a little bit of contact from what it looked like last time down the front straightaway, maybe a little bit again there. And not enough to cause damage, but enough for the driver to say, hey, give me 1 more inch and I'll be happy.
The first donut marks of the year are on both drivers' doors. You'll see it on the driver's door of Trayton Lapsovich. DJ Kennington has the same, and here comes Jake Sheridan down to the inside, and that Pride Siege 52 as the leaders bump and grind through 1 and 2.
You got to choose your battles. 3 wide at Flamboro Speedway is not a common maneuver, but Sheridan had to make the choice sooner or later that he had all that speed. He was going to try to make it work.
Here comes Sheridan in that 3rd spot, trying to get a run on the 28 of DJ Kennington. He's got Josh Stoddy sitting patiently right now back there in the 4th spot with Sean Chenoweth riding behind him.
There's another driver I want to talk about. Behind the wheel of the number 27 Transport Trailer Sales, that's Matt Box. Matt Box has had a couple of seasons that would make a lot of race car drivers retire. Like, he has just had miserable luck. The speed has not been in the car the way he would want. I know they've put a ton of work into it. It's nice to see Matt Box making some advances through the field.
He's absolutely one of those drivers that you would expect to be in contention at any racetrack, and he's riding right now in a good safe spot. He's the only one really with a bubble around him in that 6th position.
Made some nice gains. Once he got around Jade Franklin in the 31, they've opened a little bit of a gap. So the top 6 have about 3-4 car lengths over Jade Franklin in the 31.
Trayton Lapsovich, your leader over DJ Kennington. Jake Sheridan right now running in the 3rd spot. Josh Stotty 4th. 5th is Sean Chenoweth. 6th Matt Box. 7th Jade Franklin.
Little bit of bumper tag. DJ Kennington all over the back end of Lapsovich, looking for a groove. Turn 2, we mentioned, it's a tough spot to really get on the throttle. You've got to know your way around this place.
Trayton Lapsovich out in front over DJ Kennington as they complete another lap. Jake Sheridan and Josh Stotty bound up behind the 28 right now, and you just feel like the pressure in the storm is mounting as we click these laps off.
Trying to work his way back into the top 10 is the 84 of J.R. Fitzpatrick. He runs in the 11th spot right now, but he's behind a side-by-side battle between Jake Gilbert and the 03 and the 31 of Jade Franklin.
9 laps to go in this first session for the Pro Late Models, of course, divided up into 2 30-lap sections. Watching J.R. Fitzpatrick towards the back of the pack, trying to work his way up. Meanwhile, at the front, the train continues between the top 4.
Yeah, Lapsovich is leading the way, but he is not pulling away. DJ Kennington looks like he might be a touch quicker than the race leader, but we still don't really know what Sheridan and Stotty have. Now those top 4 have opened a kind of 5-car length gap back to the 89C of Sean Chenoweth.
Mixing in now tonight, this afternoon rather, the lockdown format as we see the challenge for the lead. DJ working to the inside of Trayton Lapsovich. If you're a driver from maybe Sean Chenoweth on back, and you see how hard they've run here in the opening laps, in the opening segment, you're probably thinking, can I do something that's going to make me a little bit quicker than them if they stay out with how hard they've worked their cars?
It's risk versus reward, 100%. I almost wonder if DJ Kennington is just playing with the race leader. Obviously, he doesn't have quite enough speed to make a pass, but he is filling the rearview mirror of Lapsovich. He is making him think every corner, where is he, what's he doing?
Making him use up those tires as well, as we are down to 4 laps left to go here for the Pro Late Models at Flamboro Speedway. Kennington all over the back bumper of Trayton Lapsovich. He bumps him just a little bit, finds a line down to the inside. This 30-lap segment does not pay at lap 30, but DJ Kennington doesn't care. Regardless, he wants to be first.
Well, there are bonuses that pay out. Different people have supplied some funds to add to the purse, but we are 2 to go in this initial segment. Kennington pouring on the pressure.
Wow, he hit the nose of that car right up under the tail tank of car number 32 as Trayton Lapsovich slams the wall in the backstretch, leaves a nice big mark. White flag is out. Kennington knows this is the lap he wants to lead the final one of the segment.
Red paint on the outside of the right rear. Trayton Lapsovich. Sheridan wants to start on the front row for the second half. Here they come for the checkered flag.
So DJ Kennington's going to pick up the win in the first segment, and holding on a second, Trayton Lapsovich. For Jake Sheridan, Josh Stotty, Sean Chenoweth, Matt Box, your top 6. 7th was Chad Corcoran. And then 8th, J.R. Fitzpatrick worked his way back up through the field to the 8th spot. 9th, Kevin Elbers. And 10th, Jake Gilbert.
I enjoyed that, Greg. I enjoyed that very much.
Great
to see the action. One unfortunate wreck down there in turn number 3. Some donuts on the right side of Kennington's car. And I think Trayton Lapsovich is one of the cleanest racers I've seen in recent years in the late model scene. As we look at our American racer speed shot. But DJ Kennington, being as physical as he was, might have used up the kindness from Trayton Lapsovich. But now here's the part Here's the part we've been waiting for, the lockdown challenge. Who was going to head to their pit stalls and who was going to head to the staging area for the final 30 laps of this race, which will take place after the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds event.
Jade Franklin cross the line 11th in that. Tyler DiVincenzo. Oh, I cannot get that one right for the life of me, Adam. Jade Franklin was 13th. Tyler was in the 12th spot. 14th, Mike Westwood. 15th, Sean McGlynn. 16th, Ryan Fraser. 17th, Wally Wilson. 18th, Shea Gimmel. And 19th, Brandon Watson. So those were the rest of the cars in the rundown there as the drivers head over to the pit area and make their decision. We ride aboard with Clinton Jeffrey over in the pit area to see who's going to lock it down and who's going to work on their cars as we prepare for the Canadian Vintage Modifieds to make their way out onto the Speedway momentarily. So by the looks of it, DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapsovich locking it down over there in that area. Jake Sheridan doing the same.
Yeah, it looks like everyone near the front. Now, this is a lockdown. This is a hands-off the race cars kind of moment. Driver gets out and walks away.
Clinton Jeffrey is on the scene. And we'll get an update from him as the Canadian Vintage Modifieds make their way out onto the Speedway.
Till the end there, but made the move when you had to, but you chose to lock down. The car feels good for the second session.
Yeah, I hope so. We're playing a fuel mileage game here, trying to keep as much weight out of the car as we can, so hopefully we got enough fuel to make the next 30, but yeah, so far so good. The Castrol Edge will ride Cathcart Trucking hot rod's pretty good, so I'm really excited to be here. Thanks to Flamboro and everybody for putting this on, GForceTV, and having a lot of fun. Trayton Lapsovich, man, he's a wheelman. He's a good little kid, and he's a lot nicer than his older brother. I know that much.
All right, let's go talk to Trayton. We got Trayton Lapsovich. Trayton, you ran pretty good in that session. You chose to lock down here. No changes needed. Do you feel good for the second round?
Yeah, we feel pretty good. We got a little tight center, loose off at the end there, but they can do some with tire pressure to fix that, and I can adjust my driving style a little. But overall, we got a good car, and I think we should be good for the remainder of the 60 laps.
All right, get a drink and get ready to go.
Thank you.
There's Trayton Lapsovich, one of the young stars here. He's going to battle NASCAR veteran DJ Kennington.
As always, Clinton Jeffrey, the man on the scene. Now he's given some more instructions. Hey, now we're going to go here and cover this story. And I was chuckling watching the Vintage Modifieds come out of the pits onto the track. They don't know how to do it. So there was always, it takes so long for the field to come out of the pits that the leader and the pace car have already gone by twice. And what you do coming out of the pits is you pass all of them to join the tail of the field. Some of these drivers have never been in a field of cars this big. They weren't sure how to handle it, so they're trying to sort themselves out. Let's get the starting lineup right this time and give it the attention it deserves. The starting lineup for the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds 40-lap feature event. Starting on the pole from New Hamburg, Young Drivers of Canada Creative Edge Design and Graphic. Number 18 is Jared Morphy behind the wheel of a 1931 Chevrolet. On the outside of row number 1 from Cambridge, sponsored by his parents. The best sponsor you can have, really. The number 25 is Max Wright in a 1937 Dodge. Row number 2 on the inside. From Waterdown, the Oakville Trailers and Racing Stuff number 00. It's Ron Easton in the 1931 Chevrolet Coach. Outside of him from St. George, the Georgetown Printing. Number 29 is Daryl Henwood. That machine is a 1938 5-window Dodge. Starting 5th from Oakville, the B&B Decals Oakville Trailers. Number 84 is Jeremy Barton in a 1936 Dodge Coach. Alongside him from Burlington, the Competition Automotive Racing Engines. Number 5 is Mike Pod, and that's a 1934 5-window Ford Coupe. Starting 7th out of Cambridge, the Young Drivers of Canada Orangeville. Number 42 is Steve Murdoch in a 1928 Pontiac Coupe. Starting in 8th, the president of the Vintage Modified Club from Kitchener, the Sauble Falls Tent and Trailer Park, Georgetown Printing. Number 19 is John Carley. That is a 1933 Studebaker 3-window coupe. Starting in 9th from Branchton, the Touchwood Cabinets Oakville Trailers and Racing Stuff. Number 7 is Jason Bowden in a 1935 Chev Coupe. Starting 10th from Kitchener, the MTE Consultants Valvoline Canada. Number 30, Dale Lucas. That is a 1928 Essex Coupe. Starting 11th from Cambridge, the Klotz Auto Repair and Engine Machine Shop, Whistlebear Golf Club. Number 46 is Mike Klotz in a 1934 Ford 5-window. Starting 12th from Dundas, the MW Fabrication Jay's Auto Waterdown. Number 24 is Rodney Rutherford. That's a Hudson Coupe. Starting 13th from Flamboro, the Ponderosa Nature Resort. Number 39 is Bill Pearsall. Starting 14th from Kitchener, the Oakville Trailers and Racing Stuff. Number 8, Rick Williger. Starting 15th, the RJ Car Maintenance, Westwood Rod and Race. Number 53 is Jeff Kells. Alongside him from Beamsville, the Triple Crown Enterprises, Low Groove Motorsports. Number 17, Joe Arsenault. Starting 17th from Caledonia, the number 47 Flamboro Machine Shop entry is Patrick Rulin. Starting 18th from Mount Hope, Amanda's Purse is the sponsor for Amanda Stoner behind the wheel of the 80. Starting 19th from Brantford, the Sweeters Custom Painting. Number 15 is TJ Marshall. Alongside of him from Barrie, the Rob Clark Auto Literature. Number 33, Chance Isherwood. In the 88 from Stony Creek, the TKC Metals machine is Bill Stoner. Alongside him in the 03, Oakville Stamping. Number 03 is Wade Thorne. And rounding out the field, the 07, the Sherwin-Williams Paints entry of Michael Kenny.
Off the drop of the green flag, Max Wright is your leader in the 25. It's side by side behind him, and Daryl Henwood on the outside. Jared Morphy on the inside, and the number 18 coach as they come off of corner number 2. A fine field of Canadian Vintage Modifieds here this afternoon, roaring to life. What a thunderous sound we hear from them.
Ah, what a great looking field of cars. I mean, these machines are pretty to look at, beautifully prepared. So far, so good. Max Wright out in front of that number 25, but he is not getting away. The field in tow. Jared Morphy from the Young Drivers of Canada right behind him in the 18 machine. So, Greg, the reason we tell you what each car is, what make and model and year, from the windowsill up, these cars are original. So the corners of the roof are all original, whatever they are. 1935 Dodge, Studebaker. Everything else around them is fabricated, but they have to stay true to form from the windows up.
It's been a handful out there so far for the 19 of John Carley. He was up there in that 4th position, got a little bump from the Henwood machine. Car number 29 shuffled him back. Now Henwood has problems up in corner 3, and Carley will slip to the inside. In trouble for the leader out in front of Jared Morphy.
Jared Morphy in the 18 makes some contact with the race leader, Max Wright. Joe Arsenault going to go around. That'll bring out the yellow. But we had been a couple laps of shenanigans there. Ron Easton in the 00. He had gotten out of shape. Some contact had been made there, so cars were shuffling around the order there. I'll tell you who I'm impressed with. Holy moly, TJ Marshall in the 15. I don't know what went wrong with that race car after qualifying, but he set the fastest lap and then drove to his pit stall for the team to work on the car, so he gave up his starting spot. He is already back into the top 10.
There you see Jared Morphy. He is the leader in the Young Drivers of Canada, number 18. as we'll watch what happened down in corners 1 and 2. Can't tell from that angle if there was contact, but the leader.
There was contact.
Okay, there was so much going on down the front stretch, I didn't catch what the leaders were up to, and thankfully you had your eyes on that.
So the traditional hobby cars have leaf suspension, 4 leaf springs. Like a Chevrolet would run 4 leaf springs parallel to the car. A Ford suspension runs a cross spring on the rear. These cars run 8-inch American Racer treaded tires, so they are not glued to the racetrack. Okay, so you've got lots of torque, lots of power. As we have a look here, Jared Morphy was looking on the inside and they locked bumpers. You can see, oh man, that's good camera work. Once you lock bumpers like that, you're done. Like there's just, Jared Morphy didn't go into the corner thinking I'm going to spin out the leader, but the leader spun out and had a little bit of help from Morphy.
Great camera work from Greg Boydell up here in the tower. I actually get to give him a pat on the back for that one.
Well, how excited are you, Greg, that we get to be outside to call this race? We are almost always in a tower, in a room with race officials, and then we're off to one side. The fact that we're out in the open air today, we can smell it. I'm already losing my voice because I shouldn't try to talk over the cars, but I do. That's kind of my natural instinct. But it's great to be out here and be able to smell it.
When we were back in 2 weeks, I'm wearing my Bahama shorts, my Hawaiian button-up shirt. It is balmy here this afternoon in the outdoors, but you're right, to be out here to hear the real sounds and the smells especially. We don't get that in the tower on a regular race night, so this is fantastic being up close in person.
I normally only get to smell your beef jerky. and I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I'd rather be smelling fumes and rear end grease.
So we are set and ready to come back to the green flags. The lights are off in the Bennett GMC Pace truck. Dave Franks aboard the back end there taking some photos of the field as it's ready to come back to the green flag with 6 laps completed. Green flag goes back up in the air.
Mike Pod, the longtime veteran of this club in the number 5. John Carley, the club president in the 19, also a long time member. But out in front, it's Jared Morphy who clears the 5 of Pod. He'll lead the way.
Right in behind him is John Carley, tucked into that 3rd spot, and then it's bottleneck behind him as well. As we got TJ Marshall up to the 4th spot, Jeremy Barton right behind him.
As the day goes on, we're going to fill you in on some of the backstories of who these drivers are and where they come from. Because if you have a history of back in the day coming to Flamboro Speedway, I can almost promise you nearly everyone in this field has some sort of a link to the heyday of this track.
Morphy across the line, completes another lap, puts us now 9 on the scoreboard. We'll schedule 20 in this first segment. Morphy, Pod, Carley, Marshall, and Barton right now the top 5, and they put a bit of a gap between themselves and Mike Klotz back there in 6th.
Right behind Mike Klotz, trouble, contact, and John Carley hard into the wall. Oh no! Wow. I'll tell you what, thank goodness that car did not clear the wall and hit the butt end of the concrete in turn number 1. That was a wild ride for John Carley in the number 19. All the work he's put into promoting this event, all the work he's put in to helping bring back this club, and it's sitting there in a pile of steam down in turn 1. And I'll tell you one thing. As we have another look down into the turn, oh my goodness, that would have been awful.
Wow.
I mean, you know what? As bad as that was, that was the best possible landing for that 19 because he never did crush it into a wall. There's going to be some bent pieces. We've got Clinton Jeffrey on the scene. We've got a camera on the scene. Let's go straight down to them, Greg. And once Clinton's ready to do a report, take it away, Clinton.
Up break for John Carley. As he mentioned, Adam, he did a lot of work to get everybody into this race here today. John slowly getting out of the Sauble Falls 19. A little bit slowly. We'll see if he's all right, but he probably don't want to talk to us. We'll try and get in there. We'll give him a second to check out, but Sean, come with me and let's look at all the problems here. Got major front end damage, oil leaking out, and a lot of problems here. Let's try and get a word with John. John, are you okay?
I'm good. Hell of a ride.
That's a hell of a show you put on for the fans here tonight. That was a long ride on that wall, though.
No kidding. I didn't think it was ever going to come about, but GForce said they wanted a show. Here's your show.
Deal to get the Canadian Vintage Modifieds back with a full field here at Flamboro, putting on a show like the good old days.
100%. It was a lot of work. We got it done, and 23 cars. Got to be happy.
Amazing job, John. Sorry your day didn't end the way you wanted it to.
It's all good. We're all here. We'll get it fixed up for the next one.
There's John Carley, one of the gentlemen in the sport, guys. Did a great job bringing this full field of cars here for us today. Back to you, Adam and Greg.
Open wheel race cars, Greg. You know, they get into things, they climb the wall. That's the sort of impact you have. As we look at more replays of this, I don't know how many angles we got, or if we only got the one. So fortunate is John Carley. That front axle will pull out, but watch how close he comes to the butt end of the wall in turn one up high.
And right there.
Had he been up on the wall, like, it just would have been catastrophic.
And from our vantage point, I was thinking the exact same thing as we saw him coming down the wall here. It was just a hold your breath moment because we weren't sure where he was going. And the scary thing about it was he was losing no momentum, it didn't seem, until he got just past the scoreboard.
Look at the rubber marks on top of the wall. Greg, if you can get a shot of that right in front of our position, you can see the rubber on our side of the wall, which was John's right rear still turning. Like, he basically did a burnout on top of the wall. I don't even know how to describe that. There's been so much excitement leading into this race. I want to share with you some of the support the Vintage Modifieds got for this race. Morris Piper threw in a 12-ton hydraulic shop press to the winner. No one winner to be drawn out of everybody. Marvin Ellis, Saugeen Shores Transmission, a $75 draw before the green flag among all starting cars. And there's a look at the rubber marks on the wrong side of the wall. Like, just the things that you see are unbelievable. Jennifer Hatch, $500 she put into this event. $375 goes to top up the winner's purse to $1,000. And the balance looks like the 12th place finish at the break, $100, the 12th place finish at the finish of the race. Larry and Mike Westwood put in $50 for the third place at the break and $50 for the fifth place finisher. And I apologize for not being able to read this very well, folks. We're in bright sunlight out here and I'm blind. Oh, that's better. Look at that. I made it full screen. RB Enterprises, Rick Brown, $25 to the sixth place finisher. Taylor Sheen from TS Design, $25 to fourth place at the break. $25 to the leader of the 10th lap. Jason Bowden from Touchwood Cabinets, $70 to the seventh place finish in memory of Doc Roper, one of the great racers and presidents in the history of the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. RB Enterprises, Rick Brown, $25 bonus to the ninth place finisher. Kerry German from Mad Batter, $50 to the 15th place finisher. RB Enterprises, Rick Brown, $25 to the 13th place and $25 to the 17th place finish. John Carley, $25 to the 19th place finisher as a bonus. Alan Jesse Pearsall, CVM number 39, $25 for 20th place at the break. Lucas Damaso, the crew chief for the number 39 Canadian Vintage Modified, $25 to the 20th place finisher. Bob Monroe, $25 to the first car out of the race, but must complete a green flag lap. Jig and Jody Seafood. Look them up on Facebook. I will look, like, if you come up with a name like Jig and Jody's, I'm going to follow up on that and check it out. $25 to the first car out of the race after the break. Jared Morphy from Morphy Racing gave $25 to both the last running car at the break and the last running car at the finish. Bill Bacalus, $50 to the last car on the lead lap to finish. Mike Kenny from Kenny Racing, $25 to the highest finishing rookie. Zalmira and Joe Custodio, CBM number 39, $25 to the lowest finishing rookie. That's the end of page 1. There's a little bit on another page that I'd like to get to. All of these donations added up to approximately $2,000. And that's a huge top up to this race, where it's very, very cool. Retired District Fire Chief Bill Pearsall gave $50 to the Mechanical Failure Award to the worst mechanical failure. CBM number 39, Uncle Jack and Aunt Edna Yonkmans, $25 to the Hard Luck Award. I think that might be a cinch to go to John Carley at this point. Dan Cabral gave $25 to the fastest qualifier and to the leader at the break. Jonathan Robert Morrison gave $50 to the Hard Charger. Ponderosa Nature Resort gave $50 to the best spin of the day. Jeff Walt from Walt Fab gave $25 to the highest finishing old guy. So the 50 years old and older, whoever finished higher, is going to get $25. Jeff Walt, Walt Fab, and Jace Cornell, $50 to the most cars passed in the first half by an old guy and the most cars passed in the second half by an old guy. Justin Collison gave $75 to the highest finishing 6-cylinder, and Jeff Walt from Walt Fab donated 1 can of race fuel to the car that leads the most laps. Greg, let's talk a little bit about Justin Collison, grandson of the late great Jim Collison, who was a fixture here at Flamboro Speedway, highest finishing 6-cylinder car. These cars are either powered by a crate engine or by an inline 6-cylinder. You can really tell from the pitch, the sound of the cars, but those inline 6s make a lot of torque. They are racy engines.
And you hear them, and it brings back a lot of memories, not just from this division, but others in the past that have run the same type of motor, and just cool to see. And the thing that's most impressed me about this club today, there hasn't been an ugly car on this track at all. They have been well prepared, and for a series, sometimes you get, a handful of drivers that really do it well. Boy, this division, the Canadian Vintage Modifieds, have really got their act together, because this is a full field of beautifully looking cars.
Yeah, you said it right on. And the cream kind of rises to the top. These top 4, 6, 8, the top 10 cars, all of the cars look good. Like, there's a couple of stragglers that aren't as shiny, aren't as fancy as others, but you know what? They all add to the look. And the fact that there's some coupes and some coaches out there. I drove a coach and basically sat in the back seat of the damn thing to drive it.
Back to the green flag with 10 laps to go in this first segment for the Young Drivers of Canada, Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Pod on the outside, Morphy on the bottom as they go through some of that speedy dry down in 1 and 2.
That speedy dry will be slick. Now, that was water that came out of John Carley's car, so it will evaporate, but they got to get through that a couple of laps, and it will really upset these race cars.
Down through 1 and 2, another time they go. TJ Marshall has been on a march. You documented it earlier, Adam. Now we have another spin up in corner number 2.
Bill Pearsall deserves his own award for the best spin. He just saved himself a world of damage by dropping the clutch. He spun that thing around, put the clutch in, and rolled backwards down the racetrack about, what do you say that is, 100 feet?
Yeah, good
right
distance.
out of harm's way.
Good job by Bill Pearsall to get out of the way. And that could have been a whole lot worse, but everyone, I believe, has gotten away from this one unscathed.
What you find with these cars quite often when you get a yellow flag, the best thing you can do is spin out. Because there's nowhere on the car to really hit something without damaging it. You don't have big fenders like a late model does. So you want to find a spot where you can't do much damage, spin yourself down into the infield. Or like Bill Pearsall did, spin yourself out 180 degrees, and instead of locking it down, he just rolled it backwards. That was an impressive maneuver.
Mike Pod leads the way over Jared Morphy in the second spot. TJ Marshall right now rides in third. Jeremy Barton is in the fourth spot. Mike Klotz running fifth. Steve Murdoch is 6th. 7th is Jason Bowden. In 8th is where it was Bill Pearsall before the caution flag came out. Then it was Chance Isherwood and Max Wright, the top 10. But, of course, that's going to adjust after the spin up in corner number 2.
So the way the race format is going, they're going to have the lockdown challenge with the vintage modifieds, but there's going to be a brief intermission, and then they will come back onto the racetrack. So the late models are going to run after the entire vintage modified show. We've seen some cars head into the pits, get service, come back on the racetrack, one of them being Rodney Rutherford in that True North number 24. Man, I love the way that car is lettered.
He's always got a sharp-looking race car, no matter what division it is.
His number was not very popular among some people that have been around the club for a long time because of Smilin' Ray Hughes. Ray Hughes won more than 20 championships with this club, running the yellow and black Rockaway Restaurants number 24. He said, nobody should be able to run that. I'm not big on retiring numbers, though. If you make a car that looks that good, put whatever number you want on it.
It's like the lights are off on the Bennett GMC Pace truck. Mike Pod and Jared Morphy will bring us back to the green flag. 9 laps left in this segment, then a 10-minute intermission, and we'll go back to another 20 laps for the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Are on it down in corner 1, and here comes TJ Marshall to the 2nd spot.
TJ Marshall, one of the more aggressive drivers in the field, a graduate of the Waterloo Regional Kart Club, very intelligent young man and a hard-nosed racer, but nobody is more hard-nosed than Mike Pod. He has been driving these cars for a long, long time.
TJ Marshall all over the back end of the 5 cars. They work it off of corner 4. Pod got a little bit sideways. Marshall looked high, then low. Now one spinning up in corner number 4.
Dale Lucas in the number 30 gets it around backwards. A big old cloud of smoke. He's trying to find a gear. He's going to get that car rolling again and be ahead of the leaders by about half a straightaway as he tries to get up to speed.
TJ Marshall gave Pod a bit of a shot in the rear end there off of corner number 4. He says, I'm here and I'm coming hard here as they work it down the back stretch with 6 laps left to go in the segment. Marshall looks slow, a little smoke down in the corner.
So this is where someone like Mike Pod's going to play with him. He knows TJ Marshall's super aggressive. Oh, Pod goes around. Oh my goodness. Mike Pod. The pressure became too much from the 15 of TJ Marshall. And I was going to say, Pod will mess with him a little bit. We saw it a couple laps ago out of turn 4. He didn't come up to the wall. He came down halfway. Over the years, there have been a lot of drivers that have the kind of aggression that TJ Marshall has. Jason Keane, David Elliott, Glenn Colling. They weren't afraid to use the bumper because it was a great tool to get inside a driver's head.
See the blast floor coating speed shot here down the front stretch of Flamboro Speedway, where TJ Marshall is now the leader over Jared Morphy. Mike Klotz has worked his way up into the 3rd spot. Jeremy Barton there in the 4th position. And Jason Bowden back there in position number 5.
Just 5 laps to go in the first half of this race. That was a big break for Dale Lucas in the 30. Lucas still on the lead lap because of that yellow.
Well, it's been a lot of work for TJ Marshall to get to where he is. White flag is out. Lights off on the Bennett GMC Pace truck. Will come back to the green flag next time around. Can TJ Marshall complete the run from the problems he had earlier on in the afternoon to winning this first segment?
Jason Keane, he sort of got duped on that last start. And as he falls back from the 15 of TJ Marshall at Flamboro Speedway, more than anywhere, you've got to get your left front ahead of the leader's right front, or you are screwed on these starts. And it's going to cost him a couple of spots.
Marshall jumps away. Mike Klotz, thought he had the spot. Jared Morphy tucks back in front of him into the 2nd position. The top 4 will break away just a little bit. As we come down this time by, it should be 4 laps left to go.
Look at Mike Pod roll the outside in that number 5. He is making passes in a hurry. I believe Mike Pod might be a little bit warm in that car, not real happy with the way things went down as he's looking to make a move on Max Wright down the backstretch.
Marshall comes by this time by. It is 2 laps left to go for your leader, TJ Marshall, over Jared Morphy, Mike Klotz, Jeremy Barton, and now the 25 of Max Wright, who started up on the front row of this one, has worked his way to the top 5.
Mike Pod right behind him in that 6th spot. He is torn through this field as laps wind down. Just 2 to go in the first half of this one. The top 4 have separated themselves. In fact, the top 6 or 7 have spread themselves out a little bit as the laps wind down.
This time will be the white flag. From the top of the flag stand as the leaders work down the front stretch. Marshall has grabbed a sizable advantage now over Jared Morphy.
Something is very wrong with the 29 of Daryl Henwood. That car, something rubbing on the right rear, and as he comes off the corner, the left front's coming off the ground. Halfway mark, and TJ Marshall leads the way.
Jared Morphy second at the line over Mike Klotz, Jeremy Barton in the 25 of Max Wright, Mike Pod 6th, Jason Bowden in the 7th spot, 8th Bill Pearsall, 9th Steve Murdoch, and 10th Rodney Rutherford. 11th is Rick Wilgar, 12th Dale Lucas, 13th Daryl Henwood, Chance Isherwood 30 in the 33, 14th, and then it was Jeff Kells. John Carley scored in 16th, 17th Joe Arsenault, Amanda Stoner 18th, 19th Ron Easton. So that's the running order after the first 20-lap segment. There'll be a brief 10-minute intermission, and then we'll be back with 20 more laps for these young drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with more action from Flamboro Speedway. You're watching Operation Green Flag.
Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Chicken Wings. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave.
What I love about racing is that it's so unique. And when you go back to school, everyone just thinks it's really cool because they haven't really heard of it before. Also, I love that you get to spend time with lots of friends. I've made lots of friends here at the track that I know I'll be friends with for a very long time.
What I like about go-karting is racing, the aggressiveness, and spending time with my family.
I love go-karting because you meet a lot of friends and you get to go fast.
Back at Flamboro Speedway for Operation Green Flag. Greg Kellman in the tower along with Adam Ross, Clinton Jeffrey down track side on a beautiful afternoon here just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. Glad you could join us as Operation Green Flag Mission Flamboro Speedway is halfway complete. We're at the intermission. Still to come, 20 more laps for the young drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds, and then we'll close the program with the final 30-lap segment for the Pro Late models here this afternoon. Don't forget, next Saturday night at 7 p.m., you can tune in to watch from Merrittville Speedway as we bring in round number 3 of Operation Green Flag. Part of that program, the Dirt Car Sportsman will be in action along with the Action Sprint Tour and mini stocks on the card for that one. Then in 2 weeks' time, right back here at Flamboro Speedway, it'll be the Super Stocks along with the mini stocks and pure stocks. That's a 4 o'clock start time here at Flamboro Speedway. And then in 3 weeks, we are back to the Merrittville Speedway for what's going to be a huge night of racing with 360 sprint cars, small block modifieds, and thunder stocks. So stay tuned for those upcoming events, all part of Operation Green Flag here on GForceTV.net.
Greg, regardless of where we go to feature these races, so many drivers got their start go-karting. That's how I got my start, and it was the Waterloo Regional Kart Club. You want to talk about names that have come out of there? Of course, TJ Marshall, who just won that segment. How about Cole Pern? Martin Truex Jr., crew chief. He was a Waterloo Kart Club graduate, alumni, if you will. So many people have come through this kart club and gone on to have great careers in racing, great careers around the industry. Let's have a quick look at a video the Waterloo Regional Kart Club put together, and they've supported this event, and we need to support them as well. It's a great way to get introduced to motorsports.
That's my dad, that's my son, and I'm me.
I've been racing for 2 years.
This is my first year racing.
And I've been racing for 34 years. I got first into racing when I was 26 years old, and a buddy of mine had a go-kart, and I just got on it and started racing, and been racing ever since.
What I like about go-karting is racing, the aggressiveness, and spending time with my family.
I love go-karting because you meet a lot of friends and you get to go fast.
What I love about racing is that it's so unique. And when you go back to school, everyone just thinks it's really cool because they haven't really heard of it before. Also, I love that you get to spend time with lots of friends. I've made lots of friends here at the track that I know I'll be friends with for a very long time. And you also really get to spend some quality time with your family. The parents really work on the go-kart and are really your teammates in this sport. And then grandpa and grandma always come watch, and cousins come watch too. And it's just a really good family sport, and it's a really good social event too.
I know two sides of a hockey stick, but you know, a spark plug from a tire gauge was foreign to me. But I'll tell you, there was a lot of nice people here that they just helped us out, encouraged us. Any problems we ever had, we always had people come, help us out, and it's a real community. It's a great community.
Oh, just for instance, this week I had a little lad at my school come to me and say, I want to get into go-karting. He came over to my house with his dad. I showed him what it's all about. They showed up today. We walked them through the pits. They met some new people, got to know someone who's actually going to give him a kart to come out next week and have a practice to see if he likes it. He's 11 years old. It's just a good opportunity. Everyone here is willing to help someone. You just have to ask the right questions. You just have to be willing to go and ask. Really, you can get started at $1,500. Get your rolling cart ready to race. You get yourself a suit and a helmet. If dad's got a pickup truck or mom, you throw it in the back, build yourself a kart stand, and away you come. You could be all set and ready to rock and roll for around the $2,000 range, and you're out racing. No, I just say, come on out. Come and join us, man. It's fun.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm here with TJ Marshall. TJ, you qualified good, but you went back to your pit, had to work your way back from the back up towards the front, and you won segment number 1. Pretty good start to your afternoon.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for my crew. My father, Randy Marshall, Glenn Benish, Jim Swears, Scott Lyons, and then with assistance from John Van Weingarten of Flamboro Machine Shop. We had to put gears in after third practice because there was a wicked vibration. Pinion was coming loose. And I think that took out the transmission for qualifying, ended up spitting a drive shaft in transmission. So I would have been happy with like third or fourth, but leading's always better, right? Especially on a hot day.
For sure. Grab a cold drink. We'll look for you in the second half.
Sounds good. Thank you.
There's TJ Marshall and Sean. If you follow me, we'll get Jared Morphy. Jared is over here grabbing a cold drink. Jared, pretty cool to be back racing at Flamboro today. Your car looks pretty good and fast. Talk about your afternoon so far.
We're struggling a little bit tight, but we seem to got it now in that first 20, so we'll give it a shot for the second one and see how it goes.
All right, there you have it from the top two at the end of segment 1. TJ Marshall and this beautiful 18 of Jared Morphy, guys. They're getting ready to go. We're going to jump in the back of the pace truck and give you some cool shots for the restart. Back to Greg and Adam.
Well, if you think it's a glamorous job being a race car driver or even a racetrack pit announcer, and you think that's a fantastic job, well, these guys are sweating bullets here this afternoon. Literally, it is a warm day here at Flamboro Speedway. The sun is out in full force, and those fire suits are not cool by any means. And you can see drivers down there talking with Clinton Jeffrey, getting rehydrated. Jared Morphy right out of the car, getting some fresh air, and locked and loaded for the upcoming 20 laps to settle it here for the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds. They put on a great first half so far here this afternoon. And, of course, the Pro Late Models still to come with their final 30-lap segment as well. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on GForceTV.net. Don't forget, while you're on the channel, to make sure to hit that subscribe button. Give that a click, and make sure you also hit the little ringer notification bell right beside there so that when content is loaded here on GForceTV.net, you will get a notification right to your phone, your tablet, or your PC, and you'll be up to date when we have new content online. Of course, plenty of racing still to come with Operation Green Flag, as we said, over the coming weeks. And don't forget Adam and Clinton with their Rivals Race Chat on Tuesday nights as well. So plenty of content, as well as lots of iRacing content to tune into on GForceTV.net.
iRacing was supposed to be what got us through the winter, Greg. It was not supposed to get us through the spring and into the summertime as well, although it is great. And I understand there's a driver in the Vintage Modifieds who is basically, his experience in racing is iRacing. And I don't know him very well, and with this distancing, you don't really get a huge chance to chat with everybody. But Rick Williger, from what I understand, is a young man whose background is iRacing, and now he's in the real thing. And I can tell you from experience, it is hotter and sweatier and more intense when you climb into one of these ovens, these high horsepower ovens, to go around and race. But I so appreciate the Waterloo Regional Kart Club getting involved with this broadcast, and anyone who's been on the fence almost every Saturday morning on a non-pandemic year from May through October. You can come to Flamboro Speedway. If you see the curbing on the inside of this racetrack, that is all part of the go-kart track, and the racing is fantastic.
Yeah, I've never been here for one of the karting events, but it's quite the facility they have mapped out in the infield, and I know it's been popular, and a number of friends that have come up through that and support it, and just one of those mainstays that in a normal year, yeah, you're right, it would have been a flurry of activity here this morning if we'd been in a normal situation. So we want to thank them for their support of this event here this afternoon.
Beautiful day here at the Speedway. So what is going to happen from here? The Vintage Modifieds will come back out, the Young Drivers of Canada Vintage Modifieds, and they will complete their 40-lap feature event, and then it'll be time for the late models to complete their event. And what a first half we saw there. In the same incident, J.R. Fitzpatrick, Shea Gemmel, and Brandon Watson. Of course, Fitzpatrick was able to continue, but Brandon Watson and Shea Gemmel were done for the day. What a turn of events. Who could have expected that?
And so early on in that one as well. And again, we could have watched that replay 16 times and maybe not known exactly what went wrong, because we definitely think there was something wrong prior to that for Shea Gemmel, and we noted as he came by us the final time that the rear end was dog tracking in the three machines. So interesting to see what happened there, but of course Brandon Watson with the hardest of the impacts, and the entire right side of that car heavily damaged. So going to be some time before Brandon gets that car back and ready to go. And as you mentioned, J.R. Fitzpatrick did come back out, had some right front damage on that car, but worked his way back up through the field. So I think he's still in contention here to win this afternoon. But race cars are back on the track as T.J. Marshall has brought his car back out onto the speedway. And the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds are ready to get it going. 20 laps still to settle it here at Flamboro Speedway.
Let's see who makes the call and gets back out on track. T.J. Marshall in the 15. And there's no invert, there's no gimmick from the first half to the second half. The only gimmick is if you want to pit, you give up your starting spot. If you go line up, you're good to go.
Many of these drivers holding down their positions, and we saw the same in the Pro Late Models as well, and the things we've learned over a couple of weeks in this format from last week at Humberstone and again here this afternoon is track position is king. And that's the same at any racetrack, and if you feel like your car is good enough, you're not going to risk it for a minor change.
No, exactly. This is a difficult racetrack to pass on. And cars, there used to be a time when the fast cars were a lot faster than the slow cars. When Junior Hanley was out here, he was so fast. Don Biederman could run with him, but they were starting deep in the field, but there was a lot of gap in speeds. You could work through the field. These cars are separated by hundredths of a second. It is tough to make up any ground.
Top four have made it back out onto the racetrack. TJ Marshall, and you've documented already the afternoon that he's had. Jared Morphy in the second spot. Mike Klotz, he's had a quiet afternoon, but he's stayed out of all the trouble that we've seen up near the front.
That car to me looked like a handful to drive all day long. That car does not settle down into the corners, but Mike Klotz, another one. I mean, I was a rookie in this club in 1999. I ran 1999, 2000. I ran all the races, and then a little bit in 2001. Mike Klotz was already established in the club at that time. So people that I raced with then that are still active 20 years later, Mike Klotz in the 46, 29, Daryl Henwood, the 5 of Mike Pod. The neat thing about this type of racing is families are raised around it. I mean, you get into generations. Jim Collison, we talked about, a Flamboro legend. Well, his son Jake Collison is a stellar go-kart racer. His daughter Ciara Collison, an amazing go-kart racer. But these families, we're talking 4 generations. Jeremy Barton, who just came out with a beautiful number 84 coach. He's a 3rd-generation racer here. His dad and his uncle, oh Christ, let me get this right. Brian and Chuck, were they brothers? But who would be the next generation? Crap, I should have made myself a flow chart. But it was so cool because he won last year. His first career win was in the memorial race for his grandfather. So cars back on the track. There were 12 cars that finished segment 1 on the lead lap. That's how many will start on the lead lap for the final 20 laps of this one. There's a few other cars out there, and Greg, pretty much what they're doing is having a practice session. When you've got the track time, you're here. If they had troubles in the first segment, do some tuning on the car, make some adjustments, and come on out for the second segment.
Yeah, absolutely. You've waited all this time to get on track. Why not be out there and make the most of the time, because at this point we're not sure when this division will be back on track. Obviously, we're hopeful that things will progress here throughout the province, and eventually we'll be able to hold races with at least limited fans. But until that happens, it's kind of a wait and see when that next race will be. So all the track time you can get. There's no such thing as too much track time and seat time.
No, that's for sure. I was looking at Daryl Henwood's number 29 machine. We watched the right rear. I believe the right side Nerf bar had been tweaked into that right rear tire and just turned it into mush. And that first race basically melted the treads off it. Looks like he got the bar moved away, got a fresh right rear on it. And when I say fresh, you don't put a new tire on one of these cars. Joey Arsenault in the number 17. He had fresh tires on a brand new race car earlier on today. And before I forget, I owe an apology to the entire Passetti family. I've been calling them Paschetti for years. They're here on Joe Arsenault's crew. Passetti is how you say that. But Joe Arsenault had brand new right side tires. It would have been like driving on ice.
Well, then I guess I owe an apology as well, because I've been saying that the same. Although I learned from you and Clinton over the years, so I'll just blame it on the two of you. But
right or wrong, you have to own it. Like, if that's how you call it, you've got to keep calling it that. But for the rest of my life, I'll try to get Passetti right.
Here we come back to the green flag. 20 laps the distance to settle it here for the Young Drivers of Canada. Canadian Vintage Modifieds, and TJ Marshall rockets into corner 1.
Marshall with a good, clean start, a nice jump on the field. He's out in front. Jared Morphy back to second. Mike Klotz third, Jeremy Barton fourth, and Max Wright rounding out the top 5. Remember, Max Wright led the early going of this race, but got spun around with contact with Jared Morphy. So cars that have had trouble have been able to come back, Greg.
Yeah, they have, and we're seeing that. Mike Pott, of course, was one of them that spun both competing for the lead. He's still back there in about the 8th spot, and I believe he may have actually gone and made some adjustments, because was he not up to 6th?
Yeah, I'm sure he made some adjustments. But how about Max Wright in that 25? He got to the inside of Jeremy Barton. He'll try to complete that pass and then set his sights on Mikey Klotz. Youngster Max Wright moves up to the 4th spot.
Trying to complete the comeback for him. Started on the front row, as you mentioned, Adam. He's up in the 4th position, tracking down Mike Klotz in the 46 as TJ Marshall puts another lap on the board. 16 to go here in the second and final segment for Jared Morphy, Mike Klotz, Max Wright, and Jeremy Barton.
You know, it's a lot of fun for me, Greg. A lot of our fans, as Max Wright makes the pass on Mikey Klotz, a lot of our viewers are dirt racing fans, and things happen so fast on dirt. Asphalt is almost the opposite. A pass takes a long time, so you watch it develop as Mike Pod pulls into the infield in that 5 machine. Looks like his afternoon is done, and we're going to be under yellow as Jason Bowden has looped it around in turn number 2.
Looks like he'll be able to roll the car down the bank and back under power.
Oh, no. Oh. I almost promise you, after today, the rear bumpers of that 25 are going to be redesigned, because I believe that he hooked bumpers again with Mike Klotz. We'll see if he gets his spot back, because what happened to him happened well after the yellow came out.
Max Wright pointing the wrong way on the backstretch at the moment. And we'll have an opportunity to catch up with Clinton Jeffrey with a track report. Down in the infield. Well, we'll let Clinton get things together there before he heads out and does a track report. They get Max Wright pointed in the right direction on the backstretch. 25.
And he was waving his hands inside the car, so the car has fired. Now we'll see where they elect to put him. So if we can, Spencer, if you can get one of our camera people to get a good look at the rear bumper on the 25. You want your bumpers to protect your car as well as they can. But with these cars, all the front bumpers are a little bit different. All the rear bumpers are a little bit different. You want to make sure if someone gets into the left rear corner of your bumper, it doesn't immediately spin you out. So I just looked at the 84 Jeremy Barton, the 24 of Rodney Rutherford. We have a different look, but you can see there that left rear loop that's sticking out has caught 2 cars today, one under green, accosting the lead, and then the 46 of Mike Klotz, which I'm sure wasn't intentional. But those are little things that over time, when you race long enough, you redesign things, you tweak things a little bit just to make them slicker for you.
So he does get his spot back. He'll line back up in the 3rd position behind TJ Marshall and Jared Morphy as the lights are off in the Bennett GMC Pace truck. This time I will come back to the green flag with 14 laps remaining here in the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modified feature event.
Morphy's got to get past that right front of TJ Marshall and keep that car rolling. He's getting there. It takes a lot of confidence to do that.
Instead, he'll tuck back in line behind TJ Marshall to stack up side by side behind him. Max Wright now will clear Mike Klotz and into the 3rd position.
A little further back, a great battle between Bill Pearsall and Rodney Rutherford. Rutherford got the best of that one. He'll pick up that 6th position, but let's see. Does Jared Morphy maybe have something for TJ Marshall? Looks like Morphy has got a little bit of speed. I don't know where this came from.
Yeah, he's drawn right up on the back end of TJ Marshall. Closes the gap a little bit more, down in 3 and 4. Oh,
Marshall might have a problem. As loose as he got, I wonder if he's got a right rear going down or what could be the issue, but he was really loose last time off of turn 4. Ronalds for Mike Klotz up on the outside, and that's going to put Ronnie Easton around backwards and bring out a yellow.
12 laps left to go. Ron Easton around in the 00 in corner number 3 puts us back under the caution flag.
Do you know Gary Short, Greg?
No.
He ran he was the race director for the Pro Challenge Series for a while. I helped get him hooked on dirt racing, and he messages me quite a bit when we're doing shows and having races. He sent me a picture of them by their poolside, their beautiful poolside, watching the action. And I can't help but notice, for someone who messages me so much, such a nice guy, I have yet to be invited to that beautiful pool. This is more than a subtle hint, Greg, okay? As hot as it is right now, I would jump right in, but I wouldn't be so rude as to show up without an invitation, or that's bad etiquette.
Well, I'm getting to sit poolside today, but the pool's on your forehead right now. It is warm here this afternoon.
It's a moist heat.
Okay, Justin.
One more lap to the restart. TJ Marshall on the inside, Jared Morphy on the high side in the 18, then Max Wright in the 25, Jeremy Barton in the 84, Rodney Rutherford in the 24, going to restart 5th, and then Bill Pearsall 6th in the 39.
Field ready to come back to life. TJ Marshall again gets the good start on Jared Morphy, but Morphy was closing the gap there in that last couple of laps. Here he stays, tagged right on the back Nerf bar.
Well, the top 5 or 6 have gotten pretty good at sorting out these starts, getting into line. Now it's time. Now Jared's got to set his sights, try to hit his mark, see if he can close in on Marshall.
TJ Marshall continuing to lead. The car looks a little bit more under control than he was in the last portion there before the caution flag as they work it off of corner number 4. Marshall struggled with that corner. There he didn't look as smooth either.
No, he's struggling. He's looking around a little bit for the groove. He's real loose on the extreme exit of the turn. He gets in real well. He gets to the center real well. But when it comes time to really get on the throttle, you can tell he's having to make sure the car is pointed exactly where he wants it.
He's able to keep the gap on Jared Morphy. Max Wright back there in the 3rd spot. Jeremy Barton running in 4th. Rodney Rutherford has cracked the top 5, and a good job by him to stay patient all afternoon. He's been another one that's avoided the problems near the front of the field.
Marshall extending that gap, but he is pushing the limits of that race car. But he can see he's building a gap on the 2nd place of Jared Morphy. Now Morphy seems to have his hands full with an ill-handling number 18.
And Max Wright ready to take advantage of that. The man that was starting on the front row for this race has worked his way now, challenging for the 2nd spot, wheel to wheel with Jared Morphy. Not sure if they touched down in the corner, but it came close. Wright will take the spot. That opens the door for Jeremy Barton. Now he'll grab the 3rd spot away from Jared Morphy. Morphy, though, staying strong on the outside.
Jeremy Barton was Johnny on the spot there. He picks up that 3rd spot. Now we got a new cast of characters out front. Daryl Henwood smoking off the right rear once again. Trouble in turn 3. Steve Murdoch in the 42.
Back under the caution flag. With now just 5 laps left to go. The young drivers of Canada, Canadian Vintage Modifieds. You see the Murdoch 42 back under power. And we'll get that car back on track, so we should be here with a quick caution and back to the green flag to settle this one. 5 laps left to go.
Thank you, Lisa. Keith Barton was the grandpa. Jeremy's dad is Chuck. His uncles Brian and Steve all raced in the hobby club. So thanks so much, Lisa, for setting that straight. And Travis, thanks for doing that. And Gary, I open his message and still not an invitation to his pool. I'm done with you, Gary. I was actually just trying to reset my connection to my phone here. But
We'll thank Blast Floor Coating for their sponsorship of the Speed Shot today. Great looking shot down the front stretch here at Flamboro Speedway. A beautiful day, and it's nice to be able to bring it to you in the bright daylight. I know, Adam, you and I do a lot of nighttime racing on dirt tracks under the lights, and I mean, the dirt tracks in this area have really good lighting, but there's just something that brings out those vivid colors under the sunlight, and it looks fantastic today. These Canadian Vintage Modifieds look so good. The Pro Late models as well. We are one lap away getting things back going here.
Yeah, the way the sun reflects off of these race cars is something special, Greg. I'm just so happy to be here today. Bring the racing to you. My voice is cooked.
Well, let's see what Max Wright can do on the outside this time.
Yeah, Max Wright up on the outside. See, he's a little more aggressive, rolling the outside of Marshall. He is not going to give him quite as much room as they race down the front stretch.
Oh, now he ducks down low in corner number 1, right in front of Jeremy Barton. Jared Murphy shuffled back there on the outside line.
And you could see his priority, Max Wright's priority, was to get to the bottom there. You could tell that's what he was wanting to do. I think he could have mounted a challenge on Marshall.
Down through 1 and 2 another time as Marshall, Wright, Morphy, Barton, and Rutherford right now the top 5. Bill Pearsall has had a nice comeback as well. He spun earlier in the first segment. He's up to 6th.
Max Wright's been running real low, right down on the apron of the track. Now he's up in the racing groove, up on the banking. But for a couple of laps, he got down right on the flat. Looks like this will be 2 to go this time. At the stripe, Marshall loose in turn 4.
Cameron Thompson shows the signal. 2 laps left to go for TJ Marshall over Max Wright and Jared Morphy as they work it down the backstretch. TJ Marshall has been the quickest car all afternoon.
Yeah, after that problem in qualifying where he went back to his trailer right afterwards, they obviously made the right adjustments because he came through this field and leads the way with 1 lap to go.
Final time down the back straightaway, heading into corner number 3. He comes from the back, drives all the way through the field to the front, coming off of corner 4. Checkers in the air for TJ Marshall.
Wright gonna come home second, then it's Morphy, Jeremy Barton, and rounding out the top 5 is Rodney Rutherford, Bill Pearsall, Jason Bowden, Williger, Mike Klotz, Dale Lucas, Ron Easton. Then Chance Isherwood rolls across the line, Daryl Henwood, and Steve Murdoch. But our top 3 finishers are headed down to Victory Lane, where Clinton Jeffrey is waiting to greet them.
Well, guys, TJ Marshall working on getting his gear off here. A hot day. You can bet he's a little bit sweaty under the bucket. We'll get him out here and talk to the driver of the Swears Custom Painting number 15 in just a moment as he works his way out here. Big trophies coming in from Dave Franks, and we'll get ready to go. So TJ Marshall getting unbuckled here, guys. Lots of feature win stickers over the door of that car. He's done this one many times, and he'll work his way out into Flamboro Speedway Victory Lane. Here you go, buddy. Here he comes, viewers at home. TJ Marshall, your winner here today in the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. TJ, second time we talked to you today. It's been kind of an up and down. You had problems, but your crew really made it happen for you, and you're here in Victory Lane on this special day.
Yeah. After qualifying, I really thought we were done for the day. Going into last lap of qualifying, drive shaft grenaded, so we did really well to get out here, let alone win this. First off, I want to say sorry to John Carley. I know there was an incident on the front straightaway. He got a little loose, came up. I saw him get loose. I thought I was going to clear him, and it just ever so grazed the bumper, hooked him. So I apologize. Never feels good. But got to thank everyone on the car. Shelby Roofing and Sheet Metal, Swears Custom Painting, Riverside Air Conditioning, or Heating Air Condition, Sabaris Engineering Group, Finish Line Paint, and Flamboro Machine Shop.
Good job to TJ Marshall, guys. He's your winner here in the Canadian Vintage Modifieds, live at Flamboro here on GForce. Good job, man. third right now?
I got second.
Murphy and Max Wright.
It's a solid drive for you today. Can you be happy with your run today?
Oh, of course. I can always be happy with a second place, especially to a guy like TJ Marshall. Coming out and racing with all these guys is just absolutely phenomenal. It's a great club, and I love to see the way it's grown, especially at this race.
Solid drive. You're up and down through the field today. Your car certainly looked good.
Thank you. Yeah, we were battling a bit of issues with the transmission and the clutch. It wasn't really going into gear too nicely, so I had to get a push every time there was a caution or so. But overall, my crew did a great job. Thanks to my dad, Brian. Great guys.
Solid job there. We'll jump over here and get Jared Morphy. And Jared, we talked to you also in the break. Solid run for you. You dropped one spot, but this tough competition here today, still on the podium is a good deal.
Yeah, it's pretty good. First time out this year, first time actually racing in a few years in one of these cars. So, yeah, pretty pleased how everything went, and pretty stoked about having the event even possible. So, yeah, thanks to everybody.
Good job. There you have it, guys. Jared Morphy will finish third. He's also a big sponsor of the CVMs here and part of the reason we're here today. Back to you guys. That'll do it from Victory Lane here at Flamboro.
It's so intense. Even though you can't see his lips, like it's just eyes on you, fellas. Clinton Jeffrey finishing up down there in Victory Lane. That's the longest race the Vintage Modifieds have run in a long, long time, 40 laps. They're generally a 20, 25 lap feature event club, and I think they showed well. That was good racing, a lot of restarts. You can't even describe how intense the restarts are because there's so much going on.
Clinton Jeffrey down track side. Do a quick track report.
Hey guys, track reports on the dirt tracks is something that's very important. We talk about it quite a bit. It lets the fans know what the drivers are encountering here with the surface. Blacktop here though today at Flamboro. But the difference here, these guys normally race at night under the lights. This hot sunlight making the track greasier, tougher to get a hold on. And when these late models come back out, they're really going to have to pedal it here as this pavement is getting very hot, guys. It is steamy down here today.
Well, the track is set and ready for the final 30-lap segment for the Pro Late models, and if the next 30 laps are anything like the first 30, we're in for a good one, as obviously we talked about earlier the incident involving J.R. Fitzpatrick, Shea Gemmell, and Brandon Watson, but there was also some phenomenal racing up in front between DJ Kennington and Trayton Lapsovich. I don't think I've ever seen a Pro Late model have the nose of that car right under the fuel cell and still not spin the guy. It was almost like he wasn't touching him. DJ Kennington, when he made that pass, made it look easy in such difficult confine areas.
And that's what he does. Such a veteran of these races. I did think he was squeezing Trayton pretty close into the wall. And that's where if you're treating Lapsovich, whether you're a clean driver or not, and that's his reputation, sometimes you got to muscle back a little bit, Greg, and say, hey, that's not how this is going to roll. Even if DJ's his elder, even if DJ's in the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame and Trayton's not a senior in high school yet, you still have to claim your territory.
Well, let's take a look back at some of the highlights from this afternoon. Some of the action that we saw earlier on there was Max Wright going around talking about the bars on those cars not lining up for him. Worked his way back up at the top three. And there was the wild ride by John Carley up over the wall. Glad to see John okay, but that car is going to need some attention. Dale Lucas going around there in the Canadian Vintage Modified feature. And that's where Mike Pod just overcooked the corner and went around and ended up pulling off the track there in that second segment. Did not finish. See another look at that, just up and around, and TJ Marshall drove on to the win from that point on.
Jason Bowden taking evasive action there. Max Wright did a nice job to take evasive action, just hang on for a second place finish. Once again, many thanks to Blast Floor Coatings for the speed shot today. We had some challenges with the in-car camera. We believe we're going to have one here. So to the Waterloo Regional Kart Club, we promise we're going to work this out and get them some great exposure. Maybe the next time we're back to Flamboro, we'll promise them that spot again. But we do want to acknowledge Waterloo Regional Kart Club for being involved in this and playing a big part.
So the Pro Late models are lined up in the chute and ready to go. Clinton Jeffrey down there with the top drivers getting buckled in and set to settle this one, 30 laps. As the Bennett GMC Pace truck gets ready to pull out, Clinton Jeffrey down there on pit road.
Bennett Chevrolet Pace truck rolls away there out of turn number 4 as the field gets ready to roll on. With bonuses, etc., this race is going to pay more than $2,000 to the winner. A nice way to get your summer started. These drivers showed very little signs of rust out there. Let's take a quick look. The tires look to be aired up. Remember, nothing could be done to these race cars while they sat impounded from the first half of the race.
So from the top finishers in that first segment, the most notable, I think, right now that did decide to make changes is the 52 of Jake Sheridan. He was right up there in the thick of it in this race, and now he'll have to start from the tail in the Pride Seeds, Belfour, number 52.
And again, my opinion, Greg, and I said it off the top, if you feel you can win this race, but you don't have the winning car after that first half, you've got to make changes. So from St. Thomas, Ontario, the Castrol Edge 28 is DJ Kennington. From Grimsby, the RenaMotoGroup.com 32 is Trayton Lapsevich. Third on the track from Chesley, the Schaefer Oil Canada Rona number 17 is Josh Stoddy. Behind him, it's the 89C. From Drumbo, the London Recreational Racing number 89C is Sean Chenoweth. The 27 Maple City Tire Transport Trailer Sales ride from Milton, Ontario is Matt Box. Right behind him is the other number 27. From Rockton, the Waistco Savaris Professional Services Flamboro Doors number 27 of Kevin Albers. The 03 is from Milton. The Racing Stuff number 03 is Jake Gilbert. Behind him, it's the 31. From Coldwater, the Caldecott Millwright Services Praxair Berry number 31 is Jade Franklin. The 97D. From Guelph, the Retail Design Group Maker Pizza MRC Wireless number 97D, it's Ty DiVincenzo. Then behind him is the 13 out of Sarnia, the Aquid Auto Parts Technical Heat Treatment Canada Steel number 13 of Jaden Chapman. The 52, we just talked about him, from Mount Bridges, the Pride Seeds Vibrant Farms Bondwell Salads number 52 is Jake Sheridan. And then out of Cambridge, it's the Cambridge Rigging number 84 of J.R. Fitzpatrick. Driving the number 91 out of Rockwood, the Crysdale Racing Products sponsored entry is Mike Westwood. Behind him is the number 50 out of Milton is Chad Corcoran in the number 50. Next up from Waterloo, the Blast Floor Coating number 1 is Sean McGlynn, and shotgun on the field out of Owen Sound, the 69. The wheelman, Wally Wilson.
Fantastic look out of the back of the Pace truck there as the field gets ready to see the white flag. DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapsevich. Next time by, they'll come to the green flag. Trayton's had an hour or more to think about what he's going to do on this restart.
Look at that camera shot. It's a hungry pack of late models. Well, he's had time to think. He's also had guidance, undoubtedly, from his father, Jeff Lapsevich, his brother, Caden Lapsevich. Okay, how do I handle this guy? I can't let him push me around. Let's see what he's come up with. We're going green to complete the lockdown showdown here at Flamboro Speedway.
Door to door down into corner number 1. Trayton Lapsovich riding the outside line, gets a pretty good launch there. Trouble's back behind them as Sean Chenoweth and Kevin Albers got stacked up.
Sheridan looking way to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to make up ground in that 52, and we're still side by side between Kennington and Lapsovich.
Lapsovich on that outside line. DJ Kennington working the bottom side as they roll through corner number 3 and off of 4. Let's see what Lapsovich does this time. Stays stuck on that outside. Decides not to tuck him. Now he'll tuck him behind the Castrol Edge Dodge.
See, if I was Trayton Lapsovich, and I'm not, I would drive in and lift DJ Kennington's rear end off the track. Just once, not to wreck him, but to say, okay, let's do this. Let's get this on.
That may just happen just yet as they go down through 1 and 2. DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapsovich, and Josh Stotty 1, 2, and 3. Then a gap back to Matt Box in the 27. Sean Chenoweth rolling in the 5th spot. 6, Kevin Albers. And Jake Sheridan's already up to 7th.
And don't get me wrong, Greg, I'm not saying DJ Kennington did anything wrong. I just think you really need to stake your claim and stand your ground. And that's what short track racing's all about. That's the fun part.
Well, now Josh Stotty's going to start putting the pressure on Trayton Lapsovich as Trayton really seems to be driving that car sideways off of corner number 2. Stotty smooth and steady. Maybe he has something for the runner-up spot.
Top 3 have now opened up on Matt Box running 4th. Stotty with a nose to the inside, and he makes some contact with Lapsovich.
Just a little bit of bumper tag there as they went through corner number 2. Stotty still right there applying the pressure. They work off of 4. Back under the stripe goes DJ Kennington over Lapsovich, Stotty, Box, and Chenoweth.
Stotty this time tucked into line. He's not getting as good a run off of 2 as he does off of 4. So when he comes off of 4, he can get the nose underneath and try to make a move on Lapsovich, and he's going to try again.
Yeah, he's got the good door length there now on Trayton Lapsovich, but Lapsovich very good off that second corner, clears him down the backstretch.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, nose to tail. You could throw a blanket over them out in front. It's Kennington by about 12 car lengths, almost half a straightaway.
Oh, they make contact. Josh Stotty slides to the infield. Wow.
Let's see if they go yellow for Stotty, who's sitting backwards on the infield. Race director Doug Leonard calls the shot.
And we stay green, so Stotty will go a lap down. DJ Kennington has checked out. He's got the lap car, Wally Wilson, between himself and Trayton Lapsovich.
Josh Stotty just expressed his displeasure out the window, hand in the air as he drove by the start-finish line.
So Matt Box now moves into the 3rd position behind Trayton Lapsovich. Sean Chenoweth running in 4th, and Kevin Albers up to 5th. Jake Sheridan riding in that 6th spot. Look who he's got behind him in 7th, J.R. Fitzpatrick. Oh boy, Jake Sheridan grabbed the wheel.
That turn 2 is treacherous. It'll bite you here at Flamboro. That allows J.R. Fitzpatrick to look to the outside of Sheridan.
Sights on Kevin Albers at the front. 2nd place is up for grabs. Matt Box now to the inside of Trayton Lapsovich.
Matt Box with a great run through 1 and 2, able to hold even.
14 laps left to go for DJ Kennington, who's a good straightaway ahead now of Matt Box, and Sean Chenoweth will follow the line that Matt Box took to the inside of Trayton Lapsovich. He'll roll into 3rd, but Lapsovich still holding on tough on the outside.
Lots of racing yet to come here this afternoon. DJ Kennington has a big lead right now, but anything can happen. Between lap traffic and the potential for a yellow flag, this is certainly not over for Kennington.
12 laps left to go for Castrol Edge Dodge as he leads it down into corner number 1. Matt Box across the line now in 2nd over Chenoweth. Here comes the battle for 4th as J.R. Fitzpatrick now down to the inside of Trayton Lapsovich. They're door to door down into 3.
So Lapsovich, obviously that car is not quite right. He is losing spots. He's about to fall out of the top 5 as Kevin Albers drives that number 27 Wasteco machine to the inside.
Drayton Lapsovich beginning to make a descent through the field as DJ Kennington has done the opposite. Slow car off of the track up in corner number 2 in front of the leader as DJ Kennington works around Ryan Frazier.
Matt Box hanging on to second. Behind him, a couple of ferocious drivers. Sean Chenoweth in the 89C. J.R. Fitzpatrick in the 84. Contact in 1 and 2 between Jake Gilbert and Drayton Lapsovich.
Drayton Lapsovich getting shuffled through this field with now just 8 laps left to go. DJ Kennington works it down the backstretch. And for the drivers second on back, they desperately want a caution right now to have a crack at DJ.
Yeah, Kennington having his way with this field at the moment. But look at Fitzpatrick, stock in the back end of Chenoweth down there out of turn number 2.
6 laps to go for DJ Kennington as he crosses the stripe. And now Matt Box crosses the line in second. Chenoweth third. Fourth is J.R. Fitzpatrick. Fifth, Kevin Elbers. Sixth right now, Jake Sheridan. Then it's Jake Gilbert. Jade Franklin back there as well, going around the lap car, Wally Wilson.
Fitzpatrick going to try to do it the hard way. Chenoweth giving him the room up there. Whoa, contact into the corner. Fitzpatrick wanted to turn down into 1. Chenoweth wasn't quite ready yet. Problems for Sheridan in the 52.
He'll slow up in corner 3. Will that bring out the caution flag? Whoa, Drayton Lapsovich almost got into him, and the caution flag will fly and tighten the field up with now just 4 laps left to settle it.
Flat right front for Jake Sheridan. I don't know if they do a free pass or not. I didn't hear that part, but maybe they are, because it looks like the 17 of Josh Stoddy is moving up a little bit. Let's see if he's going to pass the field and get his lap back. Oh, DJ Kennington. He has had his way here in the second half, but when he looks in the mirror, looks out the right side of the car, he's just, who the heck are you guys?
Matt Box, Sean Chenoweth, J.R. Fitzpatrick, they're all going to have a crack now at DJ Kennington.
How beautiful is that box number 27? That's a sharp looking car. And I mean, they all look good. But Box is number 27, Chenoweth's 89C, and we're looking at Stoddy's spin off of turn 2. He was trying to get on the throttle. Maybe a touch of contact with the 32 machine, but that's just a tough part of the racetrack. The bottom falls out from under you, and it makes those rear tires very light. Very easy to spin the tires and spin out the car.
And don't forget, next Saturday night, 7 p.m., we'll be live from Merrittville Speedway here on GForceTV.net as we have the Dirt Sportsman, Thunderstocks, and the Action Sprint Tour will kick off their 2020 season down in Thorold, Ontario. Of course, once again, no fans allowed to attend the event, but we'll have it for free live online as you see that spin once again from Josh Stoddy down the backstretch. Excited about the next few weeks as we watch another replay of that. Man. And Josh had such a good run, had a very fast car, maybe had something for the leaders here today.
And you know what? It's so frustrating for the driver, but ultimately, Stoddy trying to get on the throttle as we have another look, and they just made contact when the car is light. And I'm going to defend Doug Leonard in not throwing the yellow. There was no danger on the track. You know, and if you're Stoddy sitting there, you're thinking, come on, there's got to be a yellow. It was in the top 3 racing. But let's see if they put him back on the lead lap.
White flag displayed. The Bennett Chevrolet base truck lights are out. DJ Kennington, Matt Box will make up the front row with 4 laps left to settle it.
And there's a couple of drivers who probably don't have a lot of experience together. And Matt Box, as I said, it's been a couple of years he'd like to forget. Look at how aggressive he is up on the outside. He is ready to go.
Wow, good restart on that outside. He makes contact with DJ Kennington. And here comes Sean Chenoweth into the inside of him.
Oh, hard contact into the turn one wall for Ryan Fraser's number 94. That will bring out the yellow once again. I did not see that start, but I sure heard the finish, Craig.
That was a solid driver's side hit there from Ryan Fraser down in front of us in corner number 1. Safety crew on the scene, and we'll send Clinton Jeffrey down there as well. I did not see how that all started. Had my eyes at the front of the field, but a solid impact on the wall.
We've got a replay here of the restart. Man, he got in there with a big head of steam. I wonder if something broke on the car or what it was. We don't have to wonder for long because Clinton Jeffrey is down there. He's just turned on his microphone, but they're going to give the safety crew a chance to chat with Ryan Fraser, make sure that the cobwebs are all cleared out. But did you notice Matt Box on that restart? Kennington went to move up. He's hanging on tight to the steering wheel. And it didn't help him, but he got to hold his ground.
Have one more look at the replay here, and just, man, that was a hard impact. We could hear it here, and it was a loud contact with the outside wall for Ryan Fraser. Clinton Jeffrey down trackside.
We'll jump in here. Ryan, the first question is, what happened, and are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm a little rocked up, but yeah, I lost brakes going into one there. That's a tough deal, man. Tough deal. Just wanted to survive tonight and can't even do that.
There you have it from Ryan Fraser, dejected and walks away. He lost the brakes, guys, and that'll do it here at this Flamboro with this concrete wall. It can really lay a hurting on you, as we see here, the 94.
So we will roll under yellow here with 4 laps remaining in this one, Greg.
DJ Kennington, the leader, for Matt Box. Sean Chenoweth running in 3rd. J.R. Fitzpatrick in 4th position. 5th is Kevin Elbers. 6th is Jake Gilbert. 7th, Jade Franklin. Sean McGlynn back in position number 8. And Trayton Lapsovich off that last restart shuffled all the way back there. I believe he's going to be in the 9th spot when we get back to it. 10th, Chad Corcoran. Then Jake Sheridan back in the 10th position after his flat tire on the previous caution flag. Josh Stoddy back there. I believe still a lap down. Yes, he has still scored 1 lap down. Mike Westwood still out in the 91, and Wally Wilson in the 69. All of their drivers are done for the afternoon, as Ryan Fraser will take the walk to the ambulance to be checked over, and that car going on the flatbed here.
Yeah, sometimes you can haul it off in a tow truck, but sometimes you need the flat deck. Just pull it up there and clear it off the way. So Matt Box is also a veteran. So he would have learned on that restart, okay, where did DJ pick up the throttle? What did I have to gain there? What did I have to lose? I want to see what he does differently on this restart, if anything, to try to get an advantage.
Well, it was definitely the most aggression DJ has felt. I don't know if you'd call it aggression, but he had the fortitude there to hang it on the outside, and he really got the momentum build up on the outside. He kept the car rolling, kept pace with DJ, and DJ didn't have the room that he wanted on that last restart. So if anything, at least DJ knows he's there now, and it's not going to be easy on this restart.
No, the money's on the line. It's go time for these drivers. They know it. $2,000 for first. You know what second place pays?
No, and they don't care.
It doesn't matter. And that's the moral of the story, right? That's what they're here for. Matt Box, I think, has got to be pretty pumped up about the way things are going right now. We're right up next to DJ Kennington. We get a thumbs up from the driver of the number 28 machine.
Hope you've you've enjoyed all the different angles we've brought you here this afternoon from Flamboro Speedway. Again, no fans in the stands for our upcoming Operation Green Flag events, but we're trying to get you up and close and personal as we can here at each track that we go to. We've been able to take the team on the road from our usual Friday nights at Oshwegan Speedway, and all the toys and goodies have been all packed up and brought them to the different facilities. So we're glad that you're joining us here on GForceTV.net. And make sure you're tuned in for the coming weeks. Again, Merrittville next week, Flamboro in 2 weeks, and then back to Merrittville again on July 11th.
And a great job being done by Spencer and Daniel up in the booth. People out in the elements, David Stiers, Greg Boydell, Sean Robertson working with Clinton Jeffrey down there, who's in a fire suit. We're in short sleeves. I'm pretty comfortable up here. We're out in the elements too, but just a great day for car racing, and it's been a good show.
It really has. It's been a lot of action, lots to talk about, and for being the first race of the year, sometimes they're not always the most exciting, but man, this feels like mid-season racing. The guys the guys and gals out here have been right into it and have put everything on the line, and they've knocked the rust off in a hurry.
I haven't really seen a chip on anyone's shoulder, so to speak. But I think if we're going to see it, we're going to see it right now. Sean Chenoweth is the other driver who got to size up DJ Kennington and how he restarts a race. So Chenoweth is going to be aggressive. Matt Box is ready. J.R. Fitzpatrick, he's always ready for a rumble. He's going to restart fourth.
The Bennett Chevrolet pace truck pulls off into the infield. 4 laps left to settle it. DJ Kennington, Matt Box. Box looking at him rolling on the outside.
Good restart once again. Kennington with a great jump off the bottom of the track, but Chenoweth with a good restart as well on the inside.
Down into corner number 3 they go. Chenoweth with the run on Matt Box on the bottom side. 3 laps to go for DJ Kennington.
Kennington out in front by a couple of car lengths. He's loving this. Chenoweth and Box side by side. 4 position is Kennington all by his lonesome out in front.
This time by 2 laps to go, says Cameron Thompson atop the flag stand. DJ leads them across the line of Matt Box, Chenoweth, Fitzpatrick, and Albers.
All Box wants to do is close the door. It looks like he's done that now. They'll head down into 3 and 4, but Chenoweth again, just a little bit of bumper to Matt Box for that second spot.
White flag goes up in the air. DJ Kennington will set sail down the back stretch for the final time with Matt Box and Sean Chenoweth in tow through 3 and 4 to the checkered flag.
The lockdown showdown late model show is going to be won by DJ Kennington. Box comes home second. Chenoweth, Fitzpatrick, Albers, Franklin, Corcoran, McGlynn. Not sure behind that because they crossed the line 2 and 3 wide. But how's that to shake it off here at Flamboro Speedway? Operation Green Flag. I'm going to call it a success, Greg Calvin.
That was absolutely a success this afternoon. Some fantastic racing from both the pro late models this afternoon and the Young Drivers of Canada Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Folks, it was free today, but you still got your money's worth anyways. It was a great afternoon of racing from Flamboro Speedway. Clinton Jeffrey is going to catch up with the top 3 down in Victory Lane here in just a moment. Don't forget GForceTV.net to subscribe so that you are in on all of our upcoming broadcasts here for Operation Green Flag. Sean Chenoweth has pulled it into the infield. DJ Kennington making his way down to Clinton Jeffrey as well, as Matt Box will make his way down there as well. A great afternoon here at Flamboro Speedway. Thank you for tuning in. We're not done just yet. Let's send it down to Victory Lane with Clinton Jeffrey.
Well, thanks, guys. DJ Kennington pulling here in the number 28 Castrol Edge machine. We'll get in there and watch him as he gets unbuckled. And a solid day for DJ Kennington here today. Chenoweth and Box with solid runs as well. And what a drive it was by DJ Kennington today. He gets his helmet off, picks up his race winner sticker here. And we'll let DJ get his way out of this beautifully prepared number 28 Wild Ride Castrol Edge car with Cathcart Trucking also on the side. Works on getting the Hans device unbuckled. And we'll wait for DJ to get out and talk to him here. We'll also be standing by with second and third in just a moment.
2 laps to go. DJ Kennington will set sail down the back stretch for the final time with Matt Box, Chenoweth, Fitzpatrick, and Albers. The Bennett Chevrolet pace truck pulls off into the infield. 4 laps left to settle it. DJ Kennington, Matt Box, Box looking at him rolling on the outside. 3 laps to go. Chenoweth with a good restart as well on the bottom side. 4 laps left to settle it. DJ Kennington, Matt Box. Chenoweth with a good restart as well on the inside. The lockdown showdown late model show is going to be won by DJ Kennington. Box comes home second. Chenoweth, Fitzpatrick, Albers. All Box wants to do is close the door. It looks like he's done that now. They'll head down into 3 and 4, but Chenoweth again, just a little bit of bumper to Matt Box for that second spot. White flag goes up in the air. DJ Kennington
Well, if you're watching at home, raise your drink and have a toast for your winner here as he gets out of the car. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Kennington gets it done here in Operation Green Flag at Flamboro today.
Woo!
Well, DJ, what a drive today, DJ. You got to be really happy with the way things went. You know, you're not a regular here at Flamboro, but you look pretty good this afternoon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to Flamboro and everybody for putting this on. What a blast. Thanks for everybody for letting me come out and race with them. I don't get to race with these guys a lot, and the late model was awesome. It's just good for the sponsors, Castrol Edge and Will Ride Transport, Brian Caskar, everybody that helps us do this thing. Thanks so much for everybody for letting us get out here and have some fun. I really appreciate it. My family, it's Father's Day weekend, and that's for my kids. And man, it feels good to be in Victory Lane. It's awesome. It doesn't matter what kind of racing it is. It just feels good. And like I say, GForceTV and all you guys that helped us put this thing on. John, the track owner, first class, man. Thanks a lot, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
All right, thanks, DJ Kennington. We'll move over here and talk to second and third as we work our way in. Matt Box, pretty good run for you today. Can you be pleased with your afternoon? Now, you were coming on strong at the end there. You might have had a few more laps, but DJ was just really good today.
Yeah, we're very happy with our run. First time in the car in, 8 or 9 months. And, happy. DJ was very strong and just happy to hold on to second there. I know Sean and Fitzpatrick were coming there, but they raced me clean. We were able to stay in second.
Great job. They have Max Box. We'll get over here and talk to Sean Chenoweth. Sean, this beautifully prepared car just came out of the sticker shop yesterday. You managed to keep it clean, which isn't easy here at Flamboro. You know that more than anybody. Your experience paid off today. You were really coming on at the end. Can you be happy with your finish?
We're happy with a third. I mean, I think there's some factors that didn't play in for us today. Our stagger's a little off, and I came to Flamboro where I raced my whole life and put the wrong gear in the car just for the tire size. So we really weren't getting up on the chip. I think that would have helped us on starts and restarts a little bit, but we're happy. Like you say, coming here fairly clean. DJ ran obviously a great 2 races. Matt ran really good all day. JR was coming on strong. I mean, it's a great field of late models. That 4 or 5 at the front, obviously in that second feature, you've seen that we can run pretty clean and fast and side by side. I don't know what went on in the first one. That was winter jitters. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully next time we get out with these things, if it's with you guys, we get to put on an awesome show again.
All right, thanks. There you have it from Sean Chenoweth. He'll finish on the podium here today. That wrapped things up from Victory Lane, guys. Up to you to take us home.
Well, a hot afternoon for these drivers, Adam, and hot action on the track as well. We got what we came to see, I think, this afternoon.
Greg, when we showed up here, the walls were red and white. It was beautiful all the way around. Now we see from about 80 feet out of turn 2 all the way to almost to turn 3, black. These drivers were using all of the racetrack and then some. It put on a great show, and I hope the fans at home are pleased. We want you out here to smell it and see it with us, but for now, this is what we have to do, and the drivers did their part, and I'm so glad we got to come here and put on this race today. Huge thank you, Grisdale Racing Products, McCall Racing Enterprises, London Recreational Racing, Waterloo Regional Kart Club, and Blast Floor Coating for their support of this event, and so many others who got involved to get behind it.
Yeah, it was a great afternoon of racing, and of course, thank you to all of our broadcast crew, of course, all of our camera crew that stood out here in the hot sun, and everyone that made this possible to put this race together. We hope you, the fans, enjoyed it. Don't forget, Operation Green Flag still to come. We've got next week at Merrittville Speedway starting at 7 p.m. with Sportsman Mini Stocks and the Action Sprint Tour. Then we're back here in 2 weeks' time with the Super Stocks along with Mini Stocks and Pure Stocks. Then back to Merrittville for 360 sprints, small block modifieds, and Thunder Stocks in 3 weeks' time. So still plenty of racing action to come. Go to GForceTV.net. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when all these events take place, you'll get that notification that says, we're live, we're ready, and we're bringing it to you free. So make sure you do all of those things and be a part of our future broadcasts.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Greg. So excited for what's to come. Really proud of what we've accomplished with our fantastic team and all the camaraderie and partnership that's been put together with different race promoters, people that have never ever worked together before, able to put a good program together. And the 3 cars that are about to leave Victory Lane, I mean, there's a couple of rubber marks on Kennington's car, but by and large, there's 3 beautiful late models. Drivers worked hard today, and they should be proud of what they accomplished.
So that will wrap things up from here at Flamboro Speedway. The mission is complete. On behalf of Clinton, Jeffrey, and Adam Ross, my name's Greg Kellman saying thank you for tuning in today and watching Operation Green Flag.